All right, I'm not usually too worried about a tough act to follow, but my golly, that was incredible. So thank you to the four students once again. Really just incredible. Well, my name is Dick Flanigan, and I'm a surrender executive, and that's a small part of my life. I'm also a father and a husband and all those other roles we play. But one of the most special things that I get to do is I get to be chairman of the board of Donnelly College. And it's an association that started at the Snowball just about 10 years ago with a good friend of mine. And I was kind of changing. I wasn't coaching anymore. My wife is very involved at the Nelson Atkins. And Sister Ann Shepard happened to be there, the prioress of the Benedictine Abbey, a great part of our sponsorship for the college. And I said, I'm really interested in higher ed, and I really want to do something in the urban core. And they're like, oh my God, sorry for that, but we have this college in Kansas City, Kansas. And I'm a member of Nativity Parish. I'm like, where? Where's that? And like many of you that came tonight, you're like, Donnelly College. It probably didn't connect. And I said KCK, and some of you didn't connect on that either. But I will tell you tonight, Archbishop, we did come to the Missouri side this year just in honor of your joint work here in the metropolitan community. So, but really what I think about is for some of you tonight, like it was for me 10 years ago, it's an introduction. It's an introduction to this incredible jewel in the metropolitan area that's one of the best kept secrets. So tonight, part of what the Archbishop has afforded us through us allowing this very humble man to be honored on his 10th anniversary as Archbishop, he's allowing us to tell the story of Donnelly by honoring him. And I have to tell you, as a fellow board member with the Archbishop, he is not the perfunctory board member. He's not the kind of guy that just shows up, right? He is active. He asks good questions. In fact, when he usually waits to ask his questions. You know that board member for some of you. And he asks, and you're like, that's a really good question, Archbishop. We're going to have to think about that one. So a very active board member. You heard about his own personal testimony about why that's important and how this fits his family narrative and why it's so important to our archdiocese and so important to our community. Now, there are a few of my fellow board members here, more than a few, and I would ask just that if you would not mind me embarrassing you for a second. And to make it easy, I'm also going to ask the members of the staff and faculty that are here tonight if you would recognize them with just a short applause. So please, my fellow board members and the faculty and the staff that are here tonight, to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So many of you in this audience are also very active in the church. You're active in your community. You're active in all kinds of organizations. And I want two themes as we close out tonight. The first theme is around transformation. And Phil and Mary Jo, thank you for being chairs tonight. And I tell you, I don't know that you could have a better bookend to the story of Donnelly. So a story of serving the Kansas City, Kansas community, in many cases a European immigrant community that today serves a very different community of residents in KCK. And I think transformation, you can define it lots of ways, but it is a sustained change of state. It's something that changes, and the change will last. And I could never have defined it better than what Phil said. He said, for my family, for my children and my grandchildren, the expectation will be that they will go to college, and they will grow, and they will impact this community in ways that he may never have imagined had he not been introduced to Donnelly College. So many of our students tonight are in the midst of their transformation. And many of the graduates and some of the graduates that are here tonight and the testimonies that we hear at graduation and at alumni events all tell this story of a fundamental change and something that has been sustained. So I have a proposition for you tonight, and that is I need some investors. I don't just need contributors. Now, I will be more than happy to have you be a contributor. So if that's your state of mind leaving tonight, thank you. We will lovingly, willingly ask and take your contributions. But what I really want you to be tonight is an investor. And investors have a different perspective on how they use their money than contributors. Because contributors think about a one-time event. You think about, the dinner was nice, the chicken was okay, the drinks were fine, get to stay after a little bit, enjoy some fellowship and friendship, maybe a little music and dancing, whatever it takes. And if you're moved by that, please, we'd love a contribution. But what I really would like you to consider is being an investor. What's an investor? An investor is someone who's considered alternatives. An investor is someone that looks for a return on their investment. An investor is someone who takes a long-term perspective. Because what we're doing here at Donnelly, in our case for transformation, demands investors, demands that people join us in this journey, join us in helping these young people not just finish the year, not to just get their associates and their bachelors, but to succeed and grow in our community. And that's what we need. We need investors to help us along this journey. So the closing of tonight is the ask, and we're going to do this privately, okay? So I've been on this stage and other venues, and we have had people raise hands, and you can all relax tonight. You're going to get to make your decision in the privacy of your table in your own home. But what you do have tonight on your table is an envelope. So if you would look around, here's my envelope. It looks like this. And it's got a logo that you've seen about 10 times tonight, which is called the Donnelly College logo. So I'd ask you to do two things. If tonight you see yourself as a contributor and you can join us in this very important mission, please, we'd love to have your contribution. If you think of yourself as an investor and you need to think about the case and think about the time, take the time. If you're a prayer-filled person, please pray on what we're doing here, because we know with that guidance, we will secure an investor for the evening. So tonight, you've heard the stories, you've heard the testimony, you've heard the transformation, and we have a very simple ask. We need your help. Donnelly is not only one of the least expensive places to go to college in America, it's one of the least expensive places for private higher education, particularly Catholic higher education, anywhere in the United States. And I can assure you that does not come from God alone. It comes from investors, okay, and contributors. And I have to tell you, there's two things as an investor. You want to know, as an investor, that the expense ratio is very, very strong. That staff that just stood up is underpaid, which they will all agree to. And yet, they come to work every day. They could all work somewhere else. And yet, they choose to serve these students and to serve this community, because they're making an investment, not just in their career, but in those students and their lives, an investment in transformation. So what I'd ask is join us as investors. If tonight you're moved by the comments by the Archbishop, by Monsignor Sweatland, by Phil, and by our students, of course, we'd like you to join us tonight. But if you need some time to think about it, we'll wait, because we're not going anywhere, all right? The needs are great, and we'd love you to play a role in that. So that's the ask. It's not too tough. No auction, no raffle, no things to buy that you don't want. Our expense ratio is very low, okay? You all go to all kinds of events, and I know this is a generous crowd. And for those of you that are from the parishes here to thank the Archbishop, we thank you, because this is a story. We are part of the Archbishop's call. We have been generously supported by the parishes and by the Archbishop, and we're tremendously thankful. And today is a day to introduce Donnelly to many more of us. And I promise you, our expense ratio is very low. We will spend your dollar very wisely, and leverage the heck out of it to educate these young and not so young men and women at whatever stage they find their way to Donnelly College. So with that, I'd ask you to contribute tonight. Take home an envelope if you want to consider that more deeply. And we do have some fun here, okay? So the program is now officially concluded. We're going to ask you all that if you'd like to stick around and say hello to some folks, we've got some music, some libations, and a little bit of movement for those that want to move around. So with that, we'll officially conclude the program, and I'll turn it back to the voice of God and our DJ. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here tonight.